I was at an auction wanting to bid on some camera supplies, and there was a large box of things which I decided to bid on. At the very last minute they threw this in. I did win the bidding, but I didn't really want this. When I got home I set it aside for a while. I've seen a lot of these old box cameras at flea markets, but I never was interested in them. It has viewing lens, viewfinder, probably a prism comes out here. Has a shutter speed selector, the lens, and a little shutter actuator. And that's it. There's no sign, no company name on it. And eventually I decided to try and get into it, see what was in there. Had some trouble, but eventually I found out the back opened up, or the bottom, and I found these prizes inside. This little handwritten note that says Sears and Roebuck 1905. But the thing that interested me were these wooden things. There's sort of an empty compartment that would hold two. Then there's a more tight active compartment, which I assume is the photo taking compartment, which holds another one. Very tight. So I would assume someone would get maybe 3 of these film holders and load them up with, here's what I guess, and I don't know. These look like glass plates. This looks like a rubber or a cardboard. And they would load these up and put the side that said exposed inside. I notice this one doesn't have a plate. I'm assuming these were not film. I guess these were dry plates. Maybe they sent them out for development later. I really don't know. I don't know anything about old photography. But I was wondering if they were in the dark, every time they took an exposure they would have to switch these, so they probably got in the dark somewhere and took that out and then tried to flip it over, and I noticed there's a couple little nubs here that would have been helpful to know when the side that said exposed was right. So I guess they could take 6 exposures during the day before they had to call it quits. I like these. Nice wood. I think it's cherry. But there's no company name on here. I did as much research as I could, and they look a little bit like, if it was Sears, Sears had an in-house shop named Connolly that made some cameras that looked somewhat like this, but this shutter speed selector was over here. Or if it wasn't, there was a second viewfinder over here. And there was also a company named Western Camera, which was a part of something called Rochester Camera, or Rochester Optical eventually. 4 or 5 of these that were eventually bought out, I think, by Kodak. I got into the front to see what was behind here. And here's the shutter. Pretty simple. I don't know if we can see that going. Try it the other way here. If you can move it all the way over to T, I guess that's like our bulb, what we would call it. It's constantly open now until I press it again. So this, apparently the little lever here is what controls the shutter from this angle. See that move as we get more towards the bulb. And that was it as far as how the shutter works. Couldn't be simpler. Unless it's locked now. So, the viewfinder is totally clouded up. Looks like it's just a simple prism. I really can't hardly see anything through it when I look through the viewfinder as the operator would. But that's the camera. I'm not sure the name of the manufacturer or exactly how it's used. I think it's something called a dry plate. That's my best guess as to how it works. And like I say, it might be a Connelly or a Western camera or Rochester Optical Company camera.